Hey, this is Ryan. We're going to use Snooze by SZA to talk about jazz bar chord voicings and how we can add R&B riffs and fills to them. This video is going to be a little bit different in that I'm going to show you the concepts first, and then we can practice them more in the practice video. So let me show you the riff that I came up with for this song right here. So the basic idea with this is that we are taking the jazz bar chord voicings that are more standard, and we are adding hammer-ons to them to make this riff happen. You can also use pull-offs, hammer-ons plus pull-offs, but that's the basic idea. Is we're now starting to add melody lines to the chords that we're playing, which is pretty cool. So let me walk you through the three different main chords that we're going to be practicing that you can practice with the practice video. And if you feel comfortable with those jazz voicings, then you can try adding in the riffs and fills in the practice video as well. So to start, we have our minor 7 jazz voicing with the 5th string being the root. So we're barring across the 5th string, and our ring finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the D string, and our middle finger is on the 6th fret of the B string right here. And this is our basic minor 7 shape. Then what we're going to do is take this shape and move it up 2 frets to make our E minor 7 shape. And then what we're going to do is take this shape and we're going to use these 2 fingers as guide fingers. So we're going to slide up 1 fret. Our middle finger is going to go to the 9th fret on the G string. And then our pinky finger is going to be on the 10th fret of the B string right here. And for this chord in particular, you don't have to worry about barring necessarily, because all of these notes are covered by these fingers here. So you don't have to bar this chord if you don't want to, which I would 10 out of 10 actually recommend if you're just playing this basic chord shape. So those are the 3 basic chords. Now let me go step by step, part by part, what the riff actually looks like. So slowed down, it looks like this. So we'll go part by part, and let me show you this. So we're starting with this, which is just barring across the 5th fret. And then we're taking these 2 fingers and we're hammering on the B string and the D string right here. So you can do this with any 2 chord and any 6 chord, and it's going to sound diatonic. And you don't have to do 2 fingers. Oftentimes I'll do just the middle finger. Then what I do with this chord is after I hammer on, then I take the pinky and I add it to the 8th fret on the high E string. And I really love this chord voicing when I want to add a lot more energy and power to the chord, because that note is very bright. And then because I played this note, I want to play this note next. So I'll lift off the pinky. And now I'm starting to make a melody line with this. Then the last thing that I do is I take the pinky and I just move it up to the B string right here. And this makes a beautiful minor 11 chord voicing that works for the 2 chord, the 3 chord, and the 6 chord. So with just these chord voicings, the idea is, rather than just playing the D minor chord voicing that you learned in the previous video, now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different voicings that you can use for this one D minor chord, which can add a lot of variety to your guitar playing. But remember that, it's the spice of life. You don't want to add like too much spice to the chords that you're playing all the time. So just keep in mind, the function and the purpose of who you're playing for. Should you add these chord voicings? Should you do these riffs and fills and that kind of stuff? It's more important to have the music feel good than to be flashy with your guitar playing. So anyway, we have this. And then what I did was I took some of this riff and I copied and pasted it up 2 frets like this. So now let's talk about that. So when we do this, we want to be particularly mindful of what notes that we are changing when we're changing the chords. So in this case, we are in the key of C, and we are adding this note to this 3 chord right here. And so the reason why we're doing that is because it's very common and characteristic in R&B music to add accidentals sometimes. And so, because it's not lasting a super long time and it's more just expressive than it is a note to be heard and experienced, then I think it's something that you can add and it would sound good in the context of this song. So that's why you can use this chord voicing in this particular instance, but maybe not in all instances. So for the 3 chord, you can use this shape, you can use this shape, and you can use this shape. And so that's basically what I did. It's just copied and pasted it. Now, moving on to the next chord voicing is the F major 7. And I told you, if you can, try to not bar it. But to do this riff, you do have to bar it. So we bar across the strings, and then the idea is that pinky finger is going to be hammering on to the 10th fret of the B string. This is done a lot, in particular when the chords aren't as squished together as this one is. So for instance, if you were playing a D major 7 like this, it's a lot easier to get that than it is this one. But we're going to look at it anyway. So that's the idea behind this. And then part of the tab has this right here. So what we're doing there is we are taking a bar and we're moving it to the 10th fret right here. And we're just barring across all the strings. And we're being more mindful about our strumming hand, not trying to go across all 6 strings here. And then you can take your ring finger and hammer on the 12th fret right here. And this is a very, very characteristic little lick that gets added to chords like this. And so you go from this to this. And so this is a major 7 voicing that sounds really nice. So this is an F major 7. So overall, the riff goes like this. And then you move to back to the chord, the D minor chord. So this is just the overview of it. Now let's talk about actually doing this in practice. Again, don't feel like you have to do all of this stuff. What I would recommend that you do is pick one element that you want to add and then keep the basic bar chord shape for the rest of it. So that way you can just get practice with adding one idea at a time rather than adding in all the ideas at once. And that's going to help you start to develop your vocabulary and, being able to play these licks on top of these chords. So anyway, this is R&B licks with our bar chords. And so I'll see you in the practice video.